You may or may not know this, but we have a podcast. It's called Keto for Normies. We release them every Sunday. We interview people, chat about keto, chat about nutrition, health, and we've been doing it for over a year.
Yeah, actually, I
How
think
many episodes?
1 full year. We're on 72.
Getting towards the end of this year, maybe we do a top 10 roundup.
Yeah, of all the podcast episodes.
The biggest things we learned.
Yeah.
So over the past year.
And no particular order. We also have a corresponding podcast. That'll be linked below, so definitely check that out as well.
Oh, you can sign up for the podcast. It's on like all the big dogs. You got Stitcher, Spotify,
iTunes,
Google Play. Keto for Normies.
Number 1, podcast number 18 and 19. That was Tristan from Primal Hedge Health and Stephanie Person. It definitely overlapped a lot, wouldn't you say? They talked about kind of the similar things. And I really like that they talked about the circadian rhythm. So lining up your eating and your sleeping cycle kind of with the sun going up and the sun going down. That's like the most natural for your body and what we used to do thousands of years ago. And we've come so far from that, staying up really late into the night, having TV,
the screens all the time,
our phones at like 12, 1 a.m. right before we go to bed, which is so bad for you.
So Stephanie hates intermittent fasting. She thinks it's an eating disorder. Tristan says intermittent fasting is good in certain contexts, but for most people, it might be good to eat breakfast when you wake up, blunt the rise in cortisol, and then maybe stop eating a little bit before bed, like 3 or 4 hours before bed. So kind of the reverse of what most people do. Number 2, we have Amber O'Hearn, Sean Baker, and William Schufelt. What episodes?
24, 56, 17 respectively.
All 3 of them basically just eat meat. They really just shifted my perspective on nutrition as a whole. I was just going a lot by conventional wisdom, like vegetables are healthy just because they're green, they don't taste that good. Your parents have always told you to eat them. When you actually look into it a little bit, you'll learn that meat can be and should be the bulk of your nutrition on the day. You can subsist with no plants, you can sprinkle in a few here and there, but the idea of like jamming all these veggies in is definitely not something I'm down with anymore.
My takeaway was a little different. I'm definitely down with the jamming my body full of veggies because for me, it makes it more satisfying and like sustainable. So like I feel more full when I have the volume of a salad or the volume of like Brussels sprouts and bacon. Like I love putting fat on my veggies and consuming them along with my meat. But it was really fascinating to hear them talk about like the toxicity of vegetables and like how fiber is an anti-nutrient and like consuming all these healthy greens isn't benefiting as much as meat could, you know?
I'm on board with that. Like I don't eat veggies thinking that I'm getting all these crazy nutrients in. Yeah. But if I want to eat them because I like the taste of them, they fill me up a little bit, then I'll eat them.
Yeah, if you hear like vegetables are powerhouses, that's just like something we say.
Superfoods,
powerhouses, all of those dumb words. We didn't always eat broccoli. We didn't always eat like big strawberries.
Well, most plants that we eat are from like 3 or 4 different species, and it's just been like bred to what we have now.
And then also what's really important to note about meat is that not only is it more nutrient dense, but those vitamins and nutrients are more bioavailable in your body. Number 3 was Mike Mutzel, episode number 36. We love him.
Check out his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's the best.
He's
High
the man.
Intensity Health.
Yes. Talking to him was extremely fascinating because he's big on gut health. I don't know a ton about gut health, and I don't know.
Does anyone?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's a ton of like sound research backing one thing over the other. We talked a lot about how your gut bacteria changes on a day-to-day basis. Even meal to meal it could. There's certain microbes and bacteria in your body, in your gut, that can change depending on the type of diet you're on, or even if you've gotten like weight loss surgery, then it even changes. And we also talk about, I think this is Matt's favorite thing, is how we don't have the type of exposure we used to when we were like coming in contact with the animal and harvesting it ourselves and cutting it open.
Yeah, just ripping it apart and chowing down on its liver.
And now we just buy it in stores.
Yeah. So it's totally different. Because like I was coming into this podcast and I'm like, oh, I got it all figured out now. The vegetables, they're more like man-made, modified to being these just like huge plant things that we can eat. But meat, that hasn't really changed much through the years.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true, but when you go to the grocery store and pick up like a saran wrap packet of meat, it's not really the same thing. Like you're not having any interaction with the microbiome of the animal.
Same for like children who are born traditionally, right? Versus a C-section. When you're born traditionally through the vaginal canal, then you have more exposure to the bacteria and the microbes of your mom. And that's good for your health and good for your autoimmunity.
Number 4, this is an interview with Dave Feldman and Ivor Cummins, 2 separate interviews. And I think we'll link all the podcasts down below. The main takeaways from this one was Dave Feldman talks a lot about cholesterol, how just your cholesterol going up isn't necessarily bad. We're not doctors though. Basically just not relying so much on this test. And I guess the first thing we talked about was how depending on your diet the 3 days leading up to your cholesterol test, it can change your cholesterol numbers by like 50 points, something just crazy. And then we put so much precedent on this one snapshot in time of your cholesterol test. And you know, tells you how healthy you are. And then we talked to Ivor Cummins about the coronary artery calcification test, the real thing that matters, like what actually indicates if you're going to die soon or not. The coronary artery calcification test, it literally tells you like how soon till you die, very accurately.
It's the best indicator of all-cause mortality. Yeah. We don't use it. I mean, doctors don't have their patients get it, and you can get it as early as late 30s onward. Number 5 is John Lemansky, and that's episode number 60. He is all about biohacking. He's like a professional biohacker. And we talked about like the 5 basic, the most simplest biohacks, I would say. Yeah. And the podcast goes into it at length. But the keto diet itself is a biohack, which I found extremely fascinating. Because when you think of biohacking, you think of like Dave Asprey in like, you know, ice baths, cryotherapy, and it's like expensive and over the top things you do, but just changing your diet could be a biohack and could better your life, better your sleep.
Learned a lot from him about more of the basics of it, and the 5 things were diet, exercise, fasting, time restricted eating, wasn't that?
Time restricted eating.
Hot exposure and cold exposure.
Yeah. And a lot of you already do all 5 of those.
Yeah. And they're all real simple. They don't take like a ton of money, a ton of time to really do. Number 6, episode 69, Lily Nichols. She's all about like nutrition for pregnancy. And she wrote a book called Real Food Pregnancy, which we read.
Real Food for Pregnancy.
Real Food for Pregnancy. And it's really awesome. Just kind of learning what you need when you're pregnant.
The requirements change for the nutrient intake you need for your body.
There's certain things that are actually like essential when you're pregnant that isn't essential at other times. Like I think glycine is one of them, a certain amino acid. So you need to eat more like collagen, pork rinds, stuff like that. And then just the foods that make a healthy baby was a big takeaway.
We talked about something that's really scary and like how the majority of women who are pregnant, who give birth, are nutrient deficient. And
the majority of people are though.
Yeah, but like when you're pregnant in particular, I think it's really important because you're bringing another child into this world to take accountability and provide the best diet for yourself, for the best baby, right? So we talked a lot about that. It's really eye-opening to think about the amount of children born today that have moms that are like on a vegetarian or vegan diet because they think they're doing what's best when in fact it's not best for the baby. 7 is Dr. Ken Berry, episode 35. And we actually talk about a book that he wrote, The
Lies My Doctor Told Me.
Yeah. Well, I think the one we talked about the most was vitamin D intake.
Well, from the sun also.
Yeah, just like intaking vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
We don't get enough. You're actually told like to stay out of the sun, to put on sunscreen, to like you're basically scared of getting skin cancer at all times when you're in the sun, right? Especially if you're like pale.
So yeah, this is something I need to look into a little bit more still. I think a lot of people still tend to say like throw on sunscreen every single day. That's a good thing.
Even a lot of makeup that is sold
has like SPF and stuff.
Has already built-in SPF. Yeah.
So I think I'm not sure about this, but I think my current stance is sunscreen's bad. First off, it has like tons of chemicals in it, and second off, I think your skin should be, if you have a good diet, and this is something I'm actually learning recently, is like your diet plays into your sun tolerance a lot.
Absolutely.
So when I started keto, I could go out in the sun and just get sunburned immediately. Like the back of my neck, if I was out in the sun for 5 minutes, now
done.
I can stay outside for like hours and hours. We went to Sweden and it was light all day because it was like midsummer. And I was just walking around for hours, no sunscreen, and I didn't get sunburned at all.
You got a little sunburn.
A little sunburn, but
not as serious as it should have been, right? There is some merit to like protecting your skin because we aren't exposed constantly like we were back in the day, and you know, you need to take some precautions. So like don't just go out willy-nilly, but if you are on a keto diet and you've been for a while, maybe experiment, give yourself some more sun exposure and see if you can handle it and tolerate it a little better.
Number 8 is Adam Schwably. Weird last name, but
is that even how you say it?
I don't know. Podcast number 48. He has a website. It's about the 1 Million Pound Mission. He's trying to help people lose 1 million pounds collectively. He is really good at talking.
He's a coach.
He's a coach, so he gets very hype. And the cool thing he brought to our attention was, instead of feeling bad about cheat days and stuff,
right.
you're either off plan or you're on plan. So part of your plan could be doing keto for 3 weeks, then having a cheat day. Mm-hmm. As long as you're on plan and you're not just like flying off the handlebar type of thing, where you see something and then you instinctively eat it and then you have a cheat day that wasn't planned, that's really bad, because then you're just not sticking to the plan that you've given yourself. But if you have planned cheat days every now and then, in his opinion, that's like a really good way to adhere long-term to a diet. Just stick with the plan.
I feel like that would make it so much more sustainable for people. The holidays are in full force right now. Christmas, that is a planned cheat day. I know December 25th, I'm gonna go off plan, therefore I'm on plan, right? You know what I'm saying? The next day you get right back on track and you don't like feel bad because you've planned it. Number 9 is Patty Spence. He's the CEO of Zevia, and this is episode 47.
I'm drinking a Zevia right now.
I know, we both are, it's funny. Having a sugar budget with your children, which I love the idea of. A lot of people ask us, what are you going to do when you have kids? Or like, what should we do with our kids?
Are we going to do this?
I think it's something I want to do. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe.
Because it not only educates the child at a young age and they're like figuring things out for themselves, but in their mind, they're making the active choice to pick the better food, you know? I want the banana over the juice box. Both of them have maybe the equal amount of sugar, carbs.
It seems like a kind of a good plan. I'm really nervous about, restricting our kids too much to where they like rebel back against it and they like hate it forever.
Or it like messes them up.
Yeah, so I'm nervous about that, but I also want to educate them on nutrition.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is something I'm still trying to figure out. Maybe some of you guys are doing something with your kids that we could learn from.
Yeah.
Comment below.
Definitely, if you're interested, I like the sugar budget idea a lot. So that was Patty.
Number 10 is Aimee Berger. The episode's not out yet, but it's coming soon.
Couple weeks.
Episode 73. We talk about just keeping it simple, eating what you want to eat, not worrying about what everyone else is saying. So many times we get like, just this morning, someone was like, hey, I heard you guys say the Slim Fast Keto Fat Bomb cups are good, but someone in my Facebook group said they're bad. Who's right? Just like, experiment for yourself. Do what you want to do. Incorporate it in your diet. See if you're getting the results you want. If not, take it out. There's no right or wrong. You don't have to be like grading the people you listen to. They're got 9 out of 10 right. I'm going to listen to them. Just, take everything in, use it, apply it to your diet, and then like just adjust as you go.
You don't even have to like test. You don't have to do all of these over the top things to like ensure you're in a state of ketosis. She even talks about like, you don't have to be in a state of ketosis to have success and lose weight. You can do low carb and feel really good, and you don't have to like worry about measuring your ketones, because I feel like social media as well as like technology has made the diet just even harder to stick to. Don't worry so much about other people. Do what works for you, and experimenting with the foods you eat and what makes you feel good is the only way to figure out what works for you.
That's 10.
That was a quick recap, so definitely check out the podcast. As I said, it goes a lot more in depth and it's a lot more interesting to listen to than this.
And guys, quick note is we're doing something new this Wednesday, hopefully every Wednesday for eternity.
For the rest, oh my God, don't say that.
We don't have a name for it yet, but we're gonna eat dinner and you guys can just hang with us. It's gonna be live, eating dinner and talking about mysteries, true crime, kidnappings, missing persons, murders.
Is it gonna be live right off the bat?
I think it's gonna be live, yeah.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. But we have a couple people who like threw out some names. Meals and Murders. I really like that one.
Yep. Mukbang and Murder. Keto and Killers.
Keto and is that it?
Killers and Keto.
Keto and Killers. Anyway, if you have any good names, shoot them our way, and then if we pick yours, send you a book. Why not, right? We have books.
Yeah, comment below with names for it. Come hang, suggest cases or like mysteries that we can cover. See you guys.
Bye.